In this video, I'm going to go over the 1.3 data crunch about what are the trends in non-cash payments. So it's super important to be able to interpret data when you're given an infographic such as this. It tells us a lot of information in a pretty compact way. So in this one, we're looking at the trends in non-cash payments from 2000 to 2018. And you can notice that this blue dotted line right here is checks, and as time goes on, the use of checks is dwindling, whereas you see that prepaid debit cards are increasing at a much significant rate in comparison to credit cards. We also at the bottom have ACH debit transfers and ACH credit transfers, and then prepaid debit cards. Now, note that prepaid debit cards didn't really start to have much of a trend until around 2006. And they've increased over time, but not substantially. So, for these different questions, when you're going through them, the one I wanted to refer you to is this one right here, where it says in 2004, the number of credit card and debit card transactions were quite similar. By 2017, they had very different usage. What do you think caused the variance in growth? So, for some of you, you were saying technology was a thing. I hate to break it to you, but a lot of this stuff was around way before you were born. A lot of the technology to access banks online and things like that came about in the 90s, and a lot of PayPal and types of person-to-person transactions or online banking tools were in the early 2000s. So it is absolutely not technology that dictates these kinds of trends. So when we're looking at trends, we're really thinking about historical context and social context. And in this case, you would probably have to dig a little deeper. So during this time, when we start to see this trend shift, in 2008, we had the recession, and that's when you started to really see that bigger gap between credit and debit card use. So prior to this, anytime there is any type of economic or recession or depression, that means that there are signs of that coming. So people are no longer interested in taking on a more debt, and they would prefer to use their money that they have available to them. So when you increase your debt, you're more likely to go through bankruptcy and have a lower credit score, among other things. So during this time, you see this trend start to shift because more people are going into debt and they want to avoid going bankrupt and having maybe things like foreclosure on their homes or their cars seized or different things like that. So that is why you started to see this trend, and we will probably likely see this trend continue for a very long time, especially now.